We are Metal Nation Radio, playing the best classic metal, thrash metal, death metal, and so much more. Tune in to metalnationradio.com, because united we rock.
Hey, this is Greg from Pentagram. This is Victor from Pentagram. You're listening to C.C. Getty's Metalhead United. United we rock.
All right, Metal Nation, on the line we have, legends, Victor Griffin and Greg Turley from Pentagram. Guys, welcome to Metal Nation Radio. How are you doing today?
Hey. Hey.
Where are you guys both calling in from today?
This is Victor. I'm in Knoxville, Tennessee.
And this is Greg. I'm up in Northern Virginia.
Right on. So, guys, it's been a few weeks since you were out on the road, and I know you got some dates coming up pretty soon. You guys must be itching to get back out there.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Thought the first run went pretty well. After not being, I left for a year or so, and it's really cool to be back. Had to knock the rust off a little bit for the first several shows, but the crowd seemed to like them a lot. And then the last 2 or 3 shows really started to come back together again. So I think that we'll be pretty dialed in the rest of the year.
You know, I see right now you guys just have the one gig in DC on the 19th. and then pretty much it's 3 different week-long stints or jaunts through Europe, separated by some little bit of downtime. Are there plans to fill out Pentagram's schedule and add a few more dates in there, or is this what we got as far as Pentagram gigs go for the immediate future?
No, there's a couple of, I guess, short runs. There's a DC show and then the California show a couple weeks after that, and then to Europe for a week, and that's in May. And then we've got I think July is pretty much all booked with some state shows at the beginning, and then Europe for 2 weeks.
I'm looking at your guys' I'm looking at your guys' Facebook page right now. I guess maybe the dates on there just haven't been updated yet.
Oh, maybe we weren't supposed to tell everybody, but yeah, it's pretty busy actually. And Victor coming back in took us a while to kind of get things rolling again as far as bookings, but it's pretty full year.
Well, certainly the temperature is pretty hot for Pentagram right now, and I know Victor. I mean, your sound is just it's so monumental to the sound. You know, for you, what's it like being back in the band and getting back on the road?
It's great, man. Taking a year off to do a few other things. I just didn't get on the road that much. I was on the road for a European tour last April, I think it was, and that was it for the whole of 2013. So getting back busy again, being on the road, and playing with Greg and the guys. Pretty jacked up about it, really. Just taking some time off and stepping back did me good, and really helped my outlook a lot. I think it's going to be really cool.
Kind of refresh the motors a little bit for you.
Yeah, man.
How's Bobby doing? Pellet, your manager, told me about the documentary. I'd heard about the documentary, hadn't watched it. I watched it 2 weeks ago, and I was like, my God. As I was watching the movie, it's like, I mean, it's amazing the transformation he went from the beginning of that film to the end. How's Bobby doing right now, guys?
Victor, you want to take it first?
Yeah, just watching that movie, I mean, it is a pretty drastic difference from the beginning of the movie to the end, and I think he's even progressed pretty good since then. He has his bumps in the road. He's been through so many addictions for so many years and things like that. It's a struggle that he'll never be finished with, really, but we just try to keep a positive outlook. I mean, all of us do, and try to encourage him along the way and keep him built up as much as we can, because those kinds of things, they tend to work on your mind a lot. There's always a temptation out there telling you that, remember how great it was, back then, but it's all lies, man.
Yeah.
I think he's doing real good with it. He handles the road really well, which really surprised me, because since I knew Bobby from 81, I mean, we'd never really been on the road together, because Pentagram could never get any backing or anything like that. There were always issues with the band breaking up and people leaving and all that kind of stuff. So there was never any support for the band. Having known him and seen him through all those years of drug addiction and all that crazy stuff, I could never even imagine Bobby being on the road.
Me too. I mean, the temptation is just around you 24/7.
It doesn't have to be that bad. You just have to decide going in what your choices are going to be. If you just hang it out there and I'll just take it as it comes, and you don't think about these situations and the temptations, then you're probably going to end up doing something stupid. But if you decide that you're going to handle each situation as it comes and know what you're going to do ahead of time, it's really not that hard, man. Everybody knows what to expect on the road. It doesn't have to be that bad of a situation, I mean? And I think Bobby's handled it pretty well. Well,
Victor, I mean, it's no secret you've been through a lot of the same stuff too, but I imagine you guys going out together, I mean, all of you, it's kind of a good support system for each other as well, because you all have one common goal in mind anyway.
Yeah, I think that's very true. It just comes down to being supportive of one another, understanding each other's personalities and things like that, understanding where you got to kind of gauge each other's moods day to day when you're on the road and all that kind of thing, and just give each other space and try to be there. Like if I saw something going on with one of the guys that might not be in their best interest, I mean, I might even step up and say, hey man, you might want to think about your choice here, because you might be heading down the wrong road,
Right on.
And I would appreciate that if they did the same to me, because God knows, man, I could have used someone to do that in the past,
Yeah, well, I mean, the other thing, too, being older and wiser, you have it all to look back on now, too.
Yeah, you have it all to look back on. The thing is, don't necessarily forget your past. Just rise above it and use the lessons you learned for making better decisions in the future.
it's keeping me sane. Black cloud keeps hanging over my head. She's got me in a grip, I've been misled. Can't get her out of my way of thinking. It's come to an end, but I'm still singing. Voices in my head are telling me to change. My soul is screaming out, God's name. Sitting and waiting for feelings to pass. They go nowhere, they last and last. Living in my world of complete solitude. No one can see what I'm going through. My mental wounds not wanting to heal. Tears fill my eyes, I drop to kneel. Voices in my head still telling me to change. My soul is screaming out, God's name. Right now, won't you listen? Taking my time, trying to get by. Living in the past, dwelling on time. Trying to overcome what you did to me. Left me behind after planting a seed. A ray of seed. Planted in me. Now I know just what it's like. Got in too deep and now I pay. Setting my thoughts from the future. Now I learn that wicked way.
Pentagram on Metal Nation Radio. And this is CC Getty, and we're hanging out with lead guitar player Victor Griffin and bassist Greg Turley from the band. And Greg, not only are you out on the road playing the bass every night, but you're the road manager. You're actually helping run the band as well.
Yeah, I mean, we all, I guess collectively, keep it moving forward.
So, aside from the actual gig when you guys are on the road, I mean, what is it that you absolutely love about touring?
Getting out to see the people and the reaction to these songs, and that's kind of my thing, is bring it to other people and see their reactions. What makes it worth it for me.
And yourself, Victor?
Yeah, I mean, I agree. The same with that. It's definitely just play live is what it's all about, really. I mean, I like writing songs and all that, and I like recording albums and everything like that. But it's definitely not, to me, It doesn't bring out the adrenaline like a live show does. You know, when I look back on being on the road in the past, and then I see some younger bands out there, even bands, you know, who aren't that young, who are still like just basically partying 24/7 while they're on the road, man. I mean, that's a hard road, man. I mean, it's like you're constantly nursing like a hangover every single day, and you know, and just feeling like a piece of crap and all that, man. It really gets you to, you don't even realize what you have when you're doing it. But it's good, man. It's fun being back with the guys, and I think Greg downplays a little bit more, you know, what you said about him helping to run the band, because I think he has really stepped up and done some things that the band has always needed someone to do, and that's to really be consistently staying on kind of, you know, some manager duties and things like that. Since I met Bobby and through the 90s and everything, I mean, we were all basically just kind of flying by the seat of our pants, and whatever happened.
Yeah. Maybe it's a question for Greg. I mean, the difference from the old days to today, I mean, we're all old bastards, we can talk about it, but how do you find, you know, running a band in today's modern world with how the record companies exist now, but more importantly, I guess, social media and the different avenues, you know, YouTube and what we do, internet radio. How do you find that different today compared to how it was in the past? Is it easier or is it harder in a way?
It's kind of both, I guess, in my mind. You know, it's easier because there's more people at your fingertips, too, but it's more diluted at the same time. I kind of just treat it as it's like could be any business. You have your brand, and you want people to, you know, want what you're offering. I'm talking both ways. It's easier and harder, I suppose. But you mentioned record labels, and you know, it's almost two different sides. You know, the record label part of it, which is not very much of it, you know, these days, and it's really live. You know, promoting what you're offering.
To me, it seems like the sound of Pentagram and the influence over all the years, whether people knew about it or didn't know about it, just the influence that snuck into, you know, the genre that is, you know, heavy psych, stoner, doom, whatever you want to call it, has been there for so many years. It's almost like if people find out who you are now, it should be great for you guys.
It's amazing how many. I mean, I'm kind of speechless even talking about it, but I'm amazed by how many young people are like totally into this band like I was, you know, 25 or 30 years ago. It's just, it really, I mean, I'm sure, you know, Victor and I talk about it. You go some way, you know, Oulu, Finland, and there's people there to see Pentagram. Like, how did this come to be?
Well, it's that underground brotherhood, sisterhood of metalheads when we find the music, no matter what the corporate world and entities want to shove down our collective throats. When we go out and find good music, you know, the word travels fast because we all want to get it out there and share it. But your music has been such an underground swelling for so long. I would just think with, you know, social media and virtual reality and how fast things can go viral, that the word should be spreading. And certainly with the documentary, now you guys all together and seeing that story come together, it's like, you know, Bobby's like an anti-hero now. Everyone wants to see him because he's doing so well. And the music should just, I would think, just explode.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of what we've seen the last 2 years. Is proud to be a part of it, you know, and a piece of the puzzle to get it to where it is, and hopefully it keeps moving up. Part of that, and Victor and I talk about it too, is, you know, the traditional doom side of it is, you know, Pentagram to me, and I guess many people these days, you know, while it's always be related to the doom genre or whatever you call it, it's so much more than that.
Yeah.
To me, and you know, and a lot of it to me, it's not. You know, what people consider doom. I mean, it's more just heavy rock, you know, enjoy listening to.
You just touched on it there, Greg. I mean, the sound of doom, people do, the outside people tend to think it's just this one thing, but really now, especially today, there is just such a wide variety of bands that consider themselves part of that sound.
Sure, yeah, I mean...
The other thing is about that, what you just said is, I mean, I think that we're very fortunate in that we laid the groundwork so long ago that now the internet really works positively for us. Whereas, I would hate to be like starting out. I mean, I don't want to discourage, you know, young musicians and people like that and new bands and things like that. But I think it's tougher in a way because there's such a saturation of the market in all genres of music. There's so much for people to choose from that just seems to be really easy to get lost in that whole world of just like every type of band and all that kind of stuff, you know. And I just feel fortunate that we were lucky enough to come along at a time when, granted, it took years and years and years of obscurity, but we kind of we lay the groundwork to where we don't get lumped in so much, you know, to the whole worldwide network of bands and musicians now. People know where to go for us, you know, without them having to hunt through all that stuff.
You know, just touching on that idea, what's your thought of almost being kind of like the role model or the main influence on the doom sound? I mean, especially for those younger players coming up today. How do you guys look at that?
I just feel very fortunate, you know, and very grateful. I used to think I should have been born earlier, you know, in hindsight, because I thought I missed all the good stuff, you know, from the 60s, mid-60s onward, and like that. Well, I guess I kind of missed it in the sense that I wasn't old enough to be involved in it yet. But, you know, when I was 9, like, Steppenwolf was my favorite band, you know, and then Alice Cooper, you know, when I was 9 or 10 was my favorite band. And so I felt like I was not born early enough to be involved with that kind of stuff, but we got to kind of bring the doom thing around. Not that we invented anything. I guess the title, more or less, you know, or the genre title. So much of it's derived from Sabbath, of course. You know, there's other 60s and 70s bands too that kind of had a bit of a sound like that as well, but we kind of took that and just took it to the next level as far as doom goes. You know, it's cool and great, and very grateful to be part of it, knowing that, you know, when we're playing a show anywhere in the world, and I can look down and there's kids, man, who are half my age or younger singing the words to a song I wrote. So it's ultra cool.
Well, you know, I've read a couple interviews where you say that it's more about what you leave behind when you're no longer on this earth, and it certainly looks like the music at Pentagram is leaving a good legacy behind, and again has nowhere to go but up right now.
Yeah, I think, you know, that's true to a certain extent. You know, when you start getting into you know, the legacy you leave and all this kind of stuff. I used to definitely think it was all about music, and that was the most important thing in the world, and it was the most important thing I could leave behind and all that kind of stuff. But I kind of have a different outlook, you know. I tend to look more in and put more value in my friends and in my family, for sure, and relationships, you know, and music. I mean, music's going to come and go, and there's not many musicians that get talked about today that were here 100 years ago. Eventually, over the years and years, it gets forgotten too. The most valuable thing is people and relationships with one another, I think.
Well, I know from reading about you guys last night that that's a certain important thing, and again, maybe that's why Pentagram is so strong. You guys have built it from the outside back in again. moving on to new stuff. I know you guys are working hard to get it out. I know you have some new music coming soon. Is there any news you guys have to share? Anything you can tell us about the new Pentagram CD?
It's coming sooner than later.
Okay,
the original plan was to be in the studio March and April, but with the shows and rehearsing and everything, definitely be pushed back a little bit. So we're excited about it. Hope to be in the studio.
Are you guys playing any new live music at all? Exposing anything to the fans right now, or are we having to wait?
We're playing some songs that haven't been played either in a long time or ever from the back catalog. Hopefully have some new songs in the set in the next few months.
For either one of you guys, when you're out there playing, doing the set list, do you guys put together one set list and kind of follow that throughout the tour, or is it kind of evolve each night how you feel you want to play?
I think the goal is to have it evolve each night. I mean, we start off with 18 songs that we're going to rotate out, and then the road wears on us, and it ends up being one or two swapped out. But it kind of, I guess, is both right now. There's only a certain amount of songs we can fit in an hour and 20 minutes. Probably at least half the set we have to play. That's what people expect. If we don't play All Your Sins or something,
you getting shit.
We wouldn't make a lot of people happy.
So for you guys yourselves, each one of you, is there a certain song that whether it be a fan favorite or one of those ones you just like to bring out once in a while? What's your favorite track you like to play live, either because you just like to play it or because the fans are going to enjoy it? Which one is it and why?
You want to take it first, Victor?
Sure. I don't know, man. That's kind of a hard call. There's, there are the songs that we know that the fans are going to like, that get the best reaction, and that's songs like Greg mentioned, All Your Sins and Sign of the Wolf and Relentless. Those are kind of like songs that are a given, and we know that the crowd's we're gonna get a lot of energy from the crowd in those songs. One of my personal favorites to play is Review Your Choices, and that also gets a great crowd response song, but that's probably one of my favorite ones to play. I like the more moderate beat songs, along that speed, like Review Your Choices and other songs that we have like that. That style, that type of song is like my favorite type of song to play.
Yeah, mine. I kind of off the wall songs. Some of my favorite, like my personal favorite to play, are Wolf's Blood. That's one of my favorites. It's really fun to play. You're Lost, I'm Free is another one that's really fun. Kind of, again, it's not stuff that we play all the time, but you kind of throw them out occasionally, and it's like, oh yeah, that's it.
Now I hear there's a Pentagram DVD set coming out as well. What can you tell your fans about that?
It's still in production. If and when it happens, more than likely there'll be some footage from the 80s and the 90s included.
Cool.
Like a 30-year perspective, hopefully.
Well, it seems like there's just a rabid appetite from your fans to get anything that you guys are doing. Like you said, no matter where you go and no matter what age group you're talking about, people are still excited about Pentagram and what's going on. And it's just good to hear because, like I said before, your sound is just so influential throughout the genre today.
Pentagram. Keep rocking with Metal Nation Radio. United we rock.
Welcome back to Metalheads United with our special guests today, Victor Griffin and Greg Turley from Pentagram. Victor, I was out last night, and one of the people I bumped into that was excited I was talking to today wanted me to ask you something about your side project, Victor Griffin's Engraved. Really, it's kind of like an all-star project. What was that like, doing that album?
Well, it was kind of a solo. It really wasn't meant to be a solo thing. it just kind of turned out that way. Probably if I did it again now, I definitely wouldn't put my name on the cover like I did, because I don't really dig the whole like solo thing vibe, you know.
Did you feel it was more of a group effort as it came together?
I think it definitely was. It was one of those kind of things, you know, and Greg was on it too. I just called up a lot of friends and musicians, and other than Pete Campbell, who played drums on the entire thing, you know, there's a lot of guest spots on there. So it was kind of a thing, you know. Pete came down from Minnesota, where he lives, and we went in the studio here in Knoxville, and a lot of those songs weren't even finished songs. You know, he came down, we worked on the songs for literally like 2 days to finish them, you know, the basic structure of the songs and so forth, and then went directly in the studio and finished writing and structuring the songs in the studio. Then everyone who I previously talked to about doing bass tracks, keyboards, you know, kind of were ready to go. Except, so I had to send them all the basic tracks. It's very impersonal, you know, because everybody come did their tracks in their studio wherever they, you know, wherever their hometown is, whatever.
Yeah.
Well, and then everybody sent the tracks back in. It's just amazing, you know. That's how we record. We can record now. It kind of, you know, it's very convenient, but it kind of sucks too. But it's not as personal, of course.
Yeah.
But it worked out really good, man, and everybody came up with great parts, bass parts and keyboard parts, and I'm really pretty happy with the way it came out.
Well, I was playing it for a friend last night when we all piled back to my place after the evening was over, and my buddy was flipping through the CD, and he's like, this isn't really a solo CD, it's kind of like that Santana one where he has all these superstars coming in with them. Because really, when you think about it, I mean, you know, the lineup that you had there, guys coming in and out, it really was like that, but from, you know, the culture of music that you guys are into.
Yeah. It was cool, man, and you know, everybody on it kind of, you know, has somewhat of a reputation, well, at least in our scene. It gave it like a nice flavor, and everybody kind of did their own little thing with each song, but yet the whole thing comes across really good overall. As like, you know, it doesn't sound like each song switches to a different band, you know.
Yeah.
But it came out really good, man. I would, you know, we did a tour for it last year. Actually, that's the only time I was on the road last year. I was hoping to do more with it, but I don't know, man. Everybody lives so far away. Pete, the drummer, lives in Minnesota. Jeff Olson, who's you know, everybody knows as the drummer from Trouble. Mm-hmm. He came in to be the keyboard player. Well, he did. Crap, I can't remember. Yeah, I didn't want to get into names because I didn't want to leave anybody out. But anyway, he did the majority of the keyboards on it.
Yeah.
He did the tour too.
Yeah.
And then he, from The Obsessed, did the tour, you know, on bass. And you know, he lives back in the Netherlands. Ole lives in Maine. Pete lives in Minnesota, and I live in Knoxville. So it was really kind of a something that really wasn't going to work. You know?
Yeah.
Anyway, it would have been cool.
Is that something you'd ever think you'd want to do again? Would you do another project like that, whether it be a solo project or a side project that you actually put a name to it?
Well, I probably will do again, but the thing is, I'll probably just do it as Place of Skulls, because that's really kind of my other thing. And in hindsight, I would have just done that out, the Engraved album, as another Place of Skulls album, I think. But if I do anything, you know, outside of Pentagram, I'm just going to stick with Place of Skulls. You know, the name's more well known. People get it when they just see the name and they know what it is, and you don't have to go through that whole thing of like, you know, who is this band and promoting it as a new band, you know.
So let me ask you, since you brought it up, Place of Skulls, do you still find, you know, being in Pentagram and being, you know, Place of Skulls, you get a lot of flack from one side or the other? I mean, I know your religious background and certainly the Place of Skulls, that's, when you look at the lyrics, that's what it's all about. But do you find, you know, overzealous people from either side kind of still come at you for that?
Well, I don't get too much of it to my face. I'm sure that it's out there. You know, I've heard someone said that so-and-so said this or whatever, but, you know, I don't get too much of it face to face. It doesn't really matter, you know. I mean, the things I write about in Place of Skulls is who I am. It's what I believe in. And I'm that same guy in Pentagram. I believe this stuff while I'm playing in Pentagram. There's some songs in Pentagram that I won't play live, you know, that we did back in the old days, like Sinister and Burning Savior, right off the bat.
Is that because of the, you know, the theme behind the music?
Yes, yeah. And if you look at the lyrics to most of the other songs on the Pentagram albums, you know, I mean, some of those songs could fit on the same album as a Place of Skulls album, like the words to the Day of Reckoning, the words to the Deist. It goes on and on. Review Your Choices. All like songs, you know, that, and I think Sabbath experienced the same thing.
I was just going to say that. I mean, music is so metaphorically out there, you can twist and turn it any way you want. Unless you really ask the artist what was their thought behind the lyric, you don't really know.
A lot of it is like very similar to Sabbath. I mean, Pentagram, other than the name, there's never been like, Goat's Heads and Baphomets on the albums until Beach still re-released them. I mean, they were 100% responsible for that. I agree with that 100%. And it's crazy. Other than maybe 2 or 3 songs, they're all either about ex-girlfriends or just, problems or dealing with problems or, in your choices.
Right, the choices you make in life, man. And I think, people don't, it's amazing to me that the whole thing about Pentagram, when these people come up wearing, pentagrams and upside-down crosses, and they think they know what you're all about, but apparently they haven't listened to the lyrics.
I know, when I was a kid, that's what I did. I would, take out the vinyl. A lot of days now it's the CD or you download the lyrics, but I would listen to the CD with my headphones on or the album and read through the lyrics as it went so that I could really get into it. But, I guess maybe in today's culture, time is so fractured, you're so distracted with everything that's being thrown at you, do you actually have time, to really sit down and listen to the music? I do know with your guys' music, though, from when I talk to people, and certainly when you watch that documentary, people really do latch on to Bobby's lyrics. He just seems to kind of just get inside your head and really get to the heart of the issue sometime. And like you said, come down to the choices that you make and the choices you make with the lyrics as well.
Right, yeah.
Hey, Victor, one last thing I did want to ask you. Is there anything new or different that you're doing with your rig or your setup to get that patented Victor Griffin guitar tone?
I've been using the same rig now for about going on 10 years. Before that, I would go through different rigs, for a few years, and then I would get tired of them, and then I would look for something. Because I've always, ever since I started playing guitar, for some reason, tone, it was all about tone.
Yeah.
And I have no idea why, but that was something that was in me. It was like, I could tell, to me, it was like, that guitar sounds like crap, but I couldn't really tell you why I thought that guitar sounded like crap. It was just like, I really wanted to work on tone. But anyway, for the past 10 years, I've been playing through Laney GH100s that have been, in the past few years, modified by Voodoo Amplification, who does a great job. And I've played through Fender Showman 412 cabinets. They're beefy cabinets. They have good low-end response, and with the modifications on my heads, it really gives me a lot of headroom with the bass response too. So I have, whereas used to I would play with my the bass all the way on 10 and various settings for treble and presence and mids and so forth. But with the bass on 10, now my heads, I can roll the bass back to like 6 or 7 and have the same, really about the same amount of bass I had before I had the mods done. So now I have all this headroom with the bass response, and also with the gain. They did some gain modifications. It's just, I've really got my tone the best I think it's ever been, but that's not to say that, I wouldn't change if something came along that made it better. But as far as, pedal boards and things like that, I basically, I use a little bit of delay sometimes, a boost pedal, wah-wah a little bit sometimes, and that's basically it. I have a couple different delay settings. One's basically a slap back, and then the other's a little bit of a longer, like echo type thing.
So with you, it's still just, it's the old adage, if it's, good shit in, it'll be good shit out. It's not what you put in between.
Yeah, there's actually a lot of truth to that, man, and it kind of takes a long time to figure that out. You can go through the best amps and, best guitars and a million pedals and all this kind of stuff. But yeah, if it's crap going in, it's going to be crap coming out.
What about you, Greg? Is there anything you're doing special to get those nice fuzzy tones out of the bottom end?
It's been shifting sands for me lately. Haven't had very good luck with the newer Ampeg stuff, so I'm actually playing Laney heads that they're like diamonds to try to find in the U.S. right now. They work. It just takes a little, a lot of effort to get them to where I want them.
All right, guys, I guess that's it. We'll get you out of here. Is there anything either one of you want to leave with your fans? Greg?
Thanks for the time today, and thanks for everybody for listening, and thanks for coming out to the show and helping us, do what we do, and bring the music to the old faces and the new faces, and all have fun together. Right on. And Victor, yourself, any last words for your fans out there?
I second all that, man, and especially the newer fans for coming along, man, and the old fans, man, for sticking with us for so long. and getting us where we are. Just grateful and thank everyone, and hope to see you on the road.
Again, thanks for your time today, guys. What we're going to do right now is we're going to toss it out. So here it is, folks. It's Pentagram. All Your Sins on Metal Nation Radio. United, we rock. Hey, this is CC Getty. I just want to take a minute and thank you for listening to my latest podcast featuring highlights from my Metalheads United show that you can hear Saturdays on metalnationradio.com at 5 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Mountain, 2 p.m. Pacific, or 10 p.m. in the UK. The show, as you know, has all kinds of interviews from the biggest international superstars and legends to the hottest up-and-coming bands, and also for some of the most metal people on the planet. So be sure to tune in for other features like the Not Your Scene Vacuum Metal Battle Canada Spotlight, the Big 4 Foreplay, Mandatory Maiden, the 3-Way Triple Play, and all kinds of hard and heavy music that'll melt your face and kick your ass. And don't forget, you can also tune into my broadcast on metalnationradio.com Mondays and Friday nights at midnight Eastern, 9 p.m. Pacific. Thanks again for listening. If you like what you hear, spread the word. I'm out of here. Now you get out and support your local music scene, and remember, united we rock.